You're listening to the Faith Breathed Hope podcast, episode number 18. Today I speak with author, podcaster, publisher, and blogger Alexa Bigwarfe on Sunshine After the Storm, a space for grieving mothers. Welcome to the Faith Breathed Hope podcast, where we gain inspiration and motivation from others who share their touching stories of renewing hope and discovering purpose in any circumstance. I'm your host, Christina Reisinger, and today we will be encouraged by another tremendously inspirational topic that will embolden you to release fear, begin taking small steps forward, and move into your God-given purpose to live and serve in this life. Join me for today's story. Hello and welcome to the Faith Breathed Hope podcast. Today I am here with Alexa Bigwarfe, and she is back with me after being interviewed for one of the speakers for the 2019 Grief Symposium. Hey Alexa, how are you today?
Hey, I'm so good. Thank you for having me back.
So for those who don't know you, can you tell everybody who you are, what you do, what you're about, and how you got to where you are or where you are?
All right. Well, I will try to summarize that as briefly as possible, but I'm Alexa Bigwarfe, and I am I own a couple of businesses and a nonprofit. My nonprofit, which is probably what we'll speak most about today, is called Sunshine After the Storm. It is to support and provide hope and encouragement to grieving mothers. We work with dads too, but primarily our focus is mothers. And this journey started for me when almost 9 years ago, when I learned I was pregnant with identical twin daughters. And it turned out that about the time we got used to the idea that our third pregnancy was baby number 3 and bonus baby number 4, we found out that they were very ill with a syndrome that affects identical twins called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And lots of stuff happened over the course of that year. The babies were born 9.5 weeks early, and my growth-restricted baby was 1 pound, 10 ounces, and my other baby, Catherine, had been receiving too much fluid. She was in a lot of trouble, and they were not able to stabilize her. She had heart issues and lung issues and lots of fluid building up. Hydrops is what it's called. And she passed away 2 days after they were born. So I had another little one fighting in the NICU, and I really didn't have the opportunity to process that grief or do anything with it. But eventually, once our little one came home from the NICU after 3 months, I started blogging and writing and expressing all of the different emotions that I was feeling. And about 1.5 years after that, I wound up bringing together a bunch of moms to put together a book called Sunshine After the Storm, a survival guide for the grieving mother. And what happened was I didn't want grieving mothers to have to buy that book. Like, it was never the intent to write that book to make money. So we started donating copies of it to hospitals and giving it. When I heard of someone who lost a child, I started sending a copy. And as I started sending copies of the book, I wanted to include other things. After we'd lost our daughter, I'd received several care packages from strangers, and they were just so touching to me. The hope that they provided me, that things would get better, that people cared about me, that somebody else understood, the encouragement that came from that. So I started sending full-on packages at no charge. And at some point I was like, okay, I can't keep paying for this. So I started a nonprofit so that I could start fundraising, so that I could start doing that. And I'll stop there for now.
And so for our audience, I want to just explain a little bit. That is how Alexa and I came to know each other, because I was looking for speakers for the symposium last year, and I found her and contacted her about her story. And this is what we spoke about on our symposium interview, was the loss of her daughter, and actually the loss of mine. So for those of you who know my story, I also had a daughter who was in the NICU, And although she was able to come home and live for 10 and a half months, we did end up losing her as well. So, so Alexa, tell us, you know, a lot of times, and by the way, I think this is a beautiful thing that you've done as far as giving this book and these care packages to these women, because anybody who has lost a child certainly, you know, is not in a place that we've ever asked to be, and it is a very difficult place. So tell everybody, you know, how are you able to just jump into this? You know, I personally started a blog too right after, and I felt like that was, it evolved into something that was more of a tool for my healing. Was that similar thing for you, or you thought that you were going to just automatically serve people, or is it something that ended up being a healing tool for you as well?
Well, when I was I was on bed rest in the hospital for 5 weeks. So I had a lot of time to think about a lot of different things when I was there. And one of the things that kept coming back to me was this idea of no holding back, that life is so precious. And I remember not all of it was even about the babies at that point in time. A lot of it while I was in the hospital was just about my mental state of being and what was happening and what was going on. And I remember thinking, gosh, I hate the fact that I can't even go for a walk. I hate and I started thinking about like how much life I was missing out on being in this hospital and it created this idea of how much time in general in my life I had wasted. So when I started thinking of this original idea of no holding back, it was, and then sorry, to add to that, I was also very upset with the medical profession because I felt, and with myself, because I felt like I didn't have the tools that I needed to advocate for myself. I felt like I was in a teaching hospital, so I was constantly being poked and prodded and blood drawn and all this stuff and 10 people watching. And there was just a lot happening. I was disappointed in some of my friends and family, and, you know, being alone in this hospital bed all day long, every day, missing my 2 little ones that were at home. I had a lot going on in my brain. So then you add to this tremendous loss and this tremendous, and the loss of like the normalcy of just bringing a child home. We didn't even get to hold our other baby until she was a week old, and all of these things happening. And I'm very uncomfortable speaking with a lot of people about my feelings and sharing how I feel with words, because I often, I don't know, blame it on, we could probably have an entire therapy session about the way I was raised and, you know, how people responded to when we started talking about deeper things and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately I decided I was going to start a blog. It was going to be no holding back. And I was just going to talk about all the things that I had on my heart and mind. And I was going to do this anonymously so that nobody could even know what was going on. So when I started the blog, it was a lot of like awareness about twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. It was a lot of anger at the medical system. It was a lot of, I can't believe people said and did these things to me. And, you know, it was just a safe place for me to just let it all out. But the more I started doing it, and I would share a post here and there that I thought was relevant, and people started finding me because they would be searching things like how to survive the loss of one twin when another twin dies and things like that. And what I found was that my words were resonating with people who felt alone and felt a lot of these things. And so I kind of shifted based on what I saw was helping people. And, you know, this took about 18 months before I realized that where my greatest platform stood was helping to educate people who had never suffered a loss like this in helping their friend or family member who had. And when I wrote the post, the magic words or things to say and do after a mother loses her baby, like that's when I really started to see where my path needed to be. And that was not only providing hope and encouragement to the mother, but educating other people on how they could as well, because so many people feel so isolated and so lonely after loss. And that's pretty much what started the path that I'm on down now. And then as we talked about last year, like how important that safe space to write is, whether it's in a journal or on a blog or on your Facebook post or wherever. And, you know, like we talked about last year, you have to be careful if you're going public when you're angry or emotional. You have to be prepared for what comes after that. But it can be such a great tool, writing.
Right. And, so many people, it's when you go through a grief, just like you kind of alluded to here, you go through a loss. It's not only that loss that you're going through. Your brain has so many other things that is dealing with. A lot of times, if the person is sick, or, it doesn't even have to be a loss of a loved one, but there's some anticipatory grief. And then, when a child dies, you are not only grieving the child, but or even, I guess, even when somebody dies younger than you would expect them to be, you're grieving all of what still could have been, what should have been. And your mind just does all kind of wonky things, right? So being able to have that freedom in your writing, that freedom to be able to just dump all of your thoughts, all of your feelings without judgment is huge. And like you also spoke about, being able to teach others, and I don't know, we've spoken about this as well, but being able to teach other people how to just be around someone who is grieving. A lot of people feel very awkward, and that makes the person who is grieving feel awkward and feel like they're a burden, and they're less likely to open up and, prolong the healing process.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about, we talked about the Sunshine After the Storm, your nonprofit. You said that you wrote this book and then you started giving care packages. When you started doing this anonymously, you said you just kind of leaked out a blog here or a post here and there, and people started finding you, I'm guessing, through Google. Is that they were just
through all kinds of things. What actually happened to me is I had always wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
And from the time I was a little kid, and actually my whole career, even though I was in intelligence and counterterrorism, like I was a technical writer. I wrote reports, I wrote briefings, I wrote, intel analysis, all this stuff. And I always wanted to be a writer. So when I started this blogging journey, like the bug just bit me bad.
Right.
and so I started, I still had 3 other children. So I also was at home with them, and I wanted a space where I could write about other things. So after we published the book, so in a nutshell, I started learning about blogging and all those kinds of things. And I was blogging about not only grief and loss and awareness, but also about NICU issues and life in the NICU and raising a preemie and then talking about life with these other kids, and then talking about my journey healing. And what eventually happened was we published Sunshine After the Storm, and then I was like, I have so much more to write. So like within 6 months, another blogging friend and I wound up writing and publishing Lose the Cape: Realities for Busy Modern Moms and Strategies to Survive. So I wanted to keep that parenting and writing stuff going on. And then that all evolved into, I had this, I guess, what's the word when you realize, a big realization that it was uncomfortable for people who had just lost a child to come to a blog where one blog might be about the grief of losing a child, and then the next blog was about how to take your pacifier away from your 2-year-old, right? So I eventually decided I needed to separate those out. So I moved Lose the Cape and the mom blogging stuff someplace entirely separate, and kept my No Holding Back, or catbiggie.com site to talking about maternal, infant, and child health issues, talking about NICU stuff, talking about TTTS, twin-to-twin transfusion, talking about grief and loss and all of those. But yeah, so in that process, I started like following other big bloggers. I started taking blogging courses. I started figuring out that if I was going to do this, if I was going to establish myself, and this was 2012. So that was back in the day where like blogs were just blowing up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be one of those bloggers. I wanted to be an influencer in this space. And so I started following their things, and I grew a platform fairly quickly. But then like I started doing all these other things, and then I started helping other people write and publish their books. And what I realized was that people need hope and encouragement, and need writing to heal, whether it's the loss of a child or a parent or a job or life as they thought it would be, or all these other things. So I kind of broadened open to helping women share their stories of importance, whether it was from trauma, from grief, from loss, from anything along those ways.
Right. Yeah, and I love that, because that is very much where I'm at as well. And here we aim to help people find the hope that they need from all of the circumstances, not just losing a loved one, but all the things that they find themselves, because we always struggle, we always have valleys,
Oh, yeah.
we're always going to. And the point is that you have to learn to move forward through those, and cope with whatever you have in life, so that you can live your life and experience joy. And
Exactly.
so that you have this healing retreat, you said, is it the
Yes.
same as the Sunshine After the Storm, or is it something completely different?
So currently I run one healing retreat a year. And if you'll allow me a moment to tell you how this came about, it's only for grieving mothers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you're, like, if it was an early pregnancy loss, or even our group last year, our very first group last year, we had 8 women, and the ages spread from losses in utero all the way up to a 28-year-old child who had passed. So it's but it's a healing, it's an energy healing weekend basically. So we do a lot of yoga and walks on the beach and meditation and talking about writing to heal, and just like massages, and just very much like a weekend to completely love on these women and spoil the heck out of them, but also incorporate some self-care and teach some self-care so that you can try and survive a little bit better when you come out. We talk about affirmations, and basically it's just a big weekend of being able to just love on these women. We have a live-in yoga / meditation person. She also does Reiki healing. We have a live-in chef who just cooked us the most amazing food the entire weekend. So we healed through food for our bodies, and then we just had a lovely, lovely time. And the reason it came about was I have never, like, I've been hearing a lot about the role that meditation, and I just want to say that meditation can work hand in hand with praying. It can be praying. It can be, very closely related to your Christian ideals. It's just another way to bring in quiet time for your mind and your heart, and that you can very closely align that with your religious beliefs. So I started looking at this and how I could just find more time. Some people find it through doing their daily prayer session or daily journal, Bible reading and journaling, or all of that. But I was starting to think about affirmations and meditation, and how to quiet my mind, quiet my soul, and find peace, basically, right? And I went to this business conference, and throughout the process, throughout this weekend, they were doing all of this energy healing type stuff. And energy healing is nothing crazy. It just means adding in some affirmations, adding in some meditation, adding in some things like this. And I left that weekend more refreshed and energized and feeling so at peace as I ever have. And I was like, this is something I want to give back to other people. And that's when I decided to do this weekend focused on, because there's a lot of retreats for grieving mothers out there, and they all focus on different areas. A lot of them do focus on yoga and quiet time and soul healing time, right? So that's what we did. And I'm telling you what, these women had such amazing experiences the entire weekend. And it was just, I left our first healing retreat feeling a way I haven't felt in terms of peace in so long. And it was just lovely. So we do this once a year now, and it's just a weekend of really self-care, to put it in a way, and just taking the time to be taken care of.
And self-care is so needed when you're going through something really deep, such as loss of a loved one. But I want to just say that this whole idea of being still has been coming up lately, and it's actually been a reoccurring force in my own life for like, I can't even remember how long, years. And I think that the reason is it is so hard to just be still.
Yes, it is.
I don't think it's just me,
No.
I like it. And the thing is that what's coming up lately for me is that, in my mind, if I'm running and I'm listening to like one of the Christian podcasts I listen to, for me, that is being still, because I don't have, but then I start thinking about it and it's not. And then, I sit outside and then my brain goes 100 miles a minute, or you journal and you're still doing something. You're still all, and so you really have to be cognizant of just dropping things, even if it's for like 5 minutes. I'm working on that with another client of mine, because we have such a busy world.
Yeah.
We have such a loud, fast-paced world that there's constantly something going. There's constantly something on social media. There's constantly things in the news. There's constantly some form of panic or something for people to be riled up about or concerned about. And being able to just separate yourself from all of it, and like you said, still your soul, is very important, but it's also very rare.
Yeah.
So,
and
go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I've learned is because my brain goes a million miles all the time, and I thought there was something wrong with me that I couldn't, quote unquote, meditate. And I finally found some really good resources that were like, it's really, you're not like shutting everything off. You're really not. That's why it's impossible. Your brain is still going to go places, but that's why like affirmations or a Bible verse or an intention, a mantra, something that you can focus on in that quiet time, that every time your mind starts to wander off a little bit, oh my gosh, I have dishes to do. What are we going to have for dinner? Oh crap, I forgot to order the dog food, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you pull yourself back into that Bible verse, to that mantra, to that affirmation, to whatever it is that you refocus on. I share love and light in the world. I am a focus of positivity for the world, whatever you want it to be. Today, if you're struggling through a hard time, today I am grateful for my dog. Today I'm grateful for the sunshine, whatever, it's just something that you focus on when you bring yourself into that moment, so that when the mind gets a go and you pull yourself back in. I've heard some people describe it as like, I love this description actually, that you put that thought in a balloon and let it float away. So if you're trying to meditate and you start thinking about the dirty dishes in the sink, you like put it in a balloon and you let it float away, and then you pull yourself back. And it's amazing. It is amazing how replenishing 5 minutes of doing that can be.
Right. And that's why journaling too is very important, where you can, write things down. And, I know people do some journaling online, and they have things on their phone, but I don't recommend it. I like the good old fashioned way of just writing.
Pen to paper.
Yep,
I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
And, but, I have to do a lot of brain dumping, because I'm exactly the same way. And I too thought something was wrong. And then I wondered, well, is it the grief, that I decided to all of a sudden have ADHD brain or something? But
yeah,
you're right. We have to be very cognizant of coming back and focusing and grounding ourselves. I do have Bible verses, but also I wanted to say that one thing I found, and is not available all the time, but I sat outside the other day on the porch by myself, which is rare to start with, that somebody doesn't follow me out, right?
Right.
And it was pouring rain, but I just sat there and listened to the rain. And, every time these thoughts just push, I just very deliberately pushed them out and just concentrated on that rain. So maybe that is partially a key thing where you have to have some kind of ambient
sound or
thing.
something. That's one of the reasons why I like to do the retreat at on the beach. So last year was in Charleston and this year's at Carolina Beach. And because for me, like water in general is so healing, but the ocean in particular, it's so loud and so monstrous that you can just lose yourself in hearing the ocean, watching the ocean come in and out, and it is healing in itself. We love that.
Well, and for those of us, who can't stop the thoughts, it gives you that like I said, that ambient noise to concentrate on, where maybe it's your subconscious that can calm down while you listen to the sound of the water, and then the rest of you can kind of ease.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as, we can wrap this up in just a few minutes, but as far as if I am a grieving mother, and I hear of you and I want to get a hold of the Sunshine After the Storm, I want a copy of the book. I'm guessing you're still giving it out in the care package. How can I get in touch with you?
So we're everywhere on Instagram. It's Sunshine After the Storm Nonprofit, I think is the handle. We're on Facebook, Sunshine After the Storm. And our website is sunshineafterstorm.us. But so you can go to the website and you can request a care package. It's usually a couple months wait because we get a lot of requests first, and it completely depends on what we have for funding. So sometimes it's a couple months wait, but it's also available on Amazon, and we use the proceeds of that to fund the packages as well. And furthermore, while we're talking about Amazon, for those people who don't know, Amazon offers a program called Smile. It's smile.amazon.com. And you can choose a nonprofit to support. And as long as you go through smile.amazon.com, every time you make a purchase on Amazon, a very small percentage goes back to the organization. So we do have an account. You can choose to support Sunshine After the Storm. We are a legit 501c3 organization, filing our taxes and doing all that kind of stuff. But the nice thing is, like, all your Amazon Prime benefits still apply. The pricing is the same. So, you don't get a jacked up price because you're supporting a nonprofit. Like, the price is the same. It just comes to us. And that's been really nice. We don't bring in a lot of money that way. I'm trying to get the word out about it because it's such a passive way that someone can support us without having to spend any money. And, now these days, like, so many organizations need help and support. And so that's a super, super easy way that you can support an organization of choice without spending any extra money. And, speaking of being busy all the time, like, I often find I'll run to Amazon to order shampoo because I realize we're almost out and I'm not going to get to the store the next day or whatever. And I know it'll be, so it's not very environmentally friendly, maybe, with all the shipping and all that stuff. But, like, that Smile, donation is, a little bit here and there. It's nice to help us out.
It's a little extra. So, and then also you have a healing retreat coming up here soon. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. You can also find this on the website, sunshineafterstorm.us, and there is a part of the menu that says Healing Retreat. If you come in, if you hear this podcast after June 11th or after really June 1st or after we're booked, we only take 8 people. We keep it very, very small so that it can be very intimate, and so that we know we can get a house with enough rooms, because I don't want anybody to have to share a bed with a stranger.
Right.
But we do. It's June 11th through the 14th, and this year we're doing it. We were supposed to do it in Charleston again, but the house that I had rented, they decided to sell. And by the time I went back, there were no houses that met our requirements in Charleston. So we're going to try out Wilmington, Carolina Beach this year.
How fun.
The registration page is open year round. So if you get there and this year's not an option for you. You can still fill out the quick little application, and I'll put you on the email list so that you'll know about it for next year. Depending on how this year goes, we may open it up to 2 a year. And eventually, if it's going well enough, I might try and go out other places. Lord willing, the coronavirus goes away.
Right. I know. So that sounds absolutely lovely, Alexa. And I really want to thank you for providing these opportunities for people to, just really walk their grief journey and heal. And, for those of you who are going through a situation where you have lost a child, there are many people that you can reach out to. There are many people, those of us who have experienced it firsthand. It is nothing that we have wanted to be in that place, but we have created spaces to reach out to you and to serve you, to help you on your healing journey. And if you resonate with somebody here on the podcast, just let me know and I will help you be in touch with them, like Alexa. And is there anywhere else, Alexa, that you want to tell people to reach out to you? Or
yeah, if you're interested in if you haven't suffered gone through the loss of a child but still feel like you want to write, just look me up on Facebook or any place. Alexa Bigwarfe. My business is Write, Publish, Sell. We do the Women in Publishing Summit each year so that you can come and get free resources and tools on how to get started. Like I'm totally happy to talk with people about how writing might be a way to help you work through. We do have, I don't know if you still have the link from last year. We have the free Writing to Heal. I can send you that link to add in the notes. I can't remember off the top of my head which website that one's on. But it's a free 5-day email program. Basically, you sign up and it'll send you some information on how you can journal and write to work through healing. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity so much. And I guess I just want to say that healing and moving forward is a choice. It's not something that just happened to me. I chose hope. I chose light, and I chose to move forward. So if you're not in a place where you feel like that choice is even an option yet, I hope that you'll get there, but you have to make the choice to get there.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And if you're listening to this and you don't feel like you are in a place where you have a choice, I want to encourage you to reach out and, even ask me. I will pray for you if you feel like you need prayer in this place, because the Lord can give you that peace that surpasses all understanding. And you do not have to stay where you are. You can move forward and you can experience joy in your life after terrible circumstances. So I thank you so much for being here, Alexa. And I hope that all of you in the audience continue to be blessed and bless others. And we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
And I want to thank you for joining us on Faith Breathed Hope, where you gain inspiration and motivation to renew hope and discover purpose in any circumstance. Please like and share this podcast and give us a review on iTunes. Be blessed.